Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 148 of the Best Games Period. I'm your host, Jack Gardner, and with me this week is nobody, because I'm doing this show solo. And we're going to be talking about a little game I like to call Lost Planet Extreme Condition. And I like to call it that because that's what it's called by everybody else. And I don't I don't really know what the general consensus is about this game. I think most people really liked it. But also it was the kind of game that really excelled in a few areas and really didn't excel in a few others. It's definitely a product of its time, and it's also definitely it's an odd duck. We'll put it that way. Um, and to give you kind of a little taste of that, I will now read the prologue, um, and you can just get all of this juicy goodness directly from the game itself. Um, it was TC negative 80 years before the trial century. Humankind had abandoned the comfort of a familiar world in order to attempt life on EDN-3. As emigration to the new world progressed, facilities were constructed to handle the growing population, and colonization appeared to be successful. With the expansion of the colony, humanity encountered a new alien life form known as the Acrid. They were immediately identified as a hostile presence. The humans had no weapons with which to repel acrid aggression and were forced to retreat from their new home. While fleeing from the enigmatic menace, the humans discovered the precious thermal energy lying within the bodies of the acrid. It was a powerful new energy source. Suddenly, humankind was determined to fight. Okay, we're not done. We're not done with this prologue reading yet, but I need to stop and say a couple things. First, as a general rule of storytelling, you want to tell a story that is set in the most interesting time period. In why would you choose to tell a less interesting story? And just the framing of this taking place 80 years before the trial century, which I assume is a very harsh and difficult century. Why aren't you telling a story about the trial century? That seems like maybe the place you would want to tell your story, or the time period in your setting. And the other thing is, so the premise of this is that as as humans were retreating, they discovered that these acrid that had evolved to live on this ice planet had thermal energy inside of them. Now, granted, that might be a lot. It might be a lot of thermal energy, and it's kind of like framed like it is. I can't imagine that it's enough to get the interest of people into coming back to a planet that's full of hostile killer bugs. And also the weather is going to kill you. And on top of that, we have enough problems trying to mine geothermal energy here. This is just geothermal energy, but it's inside of a living thing that wants to kill you and is very capable of killing you. Okay. And now we will continue. The humans developed a weapon capable of fighting back against the acrid scourge, the Vital Suit, or VS. With VS technology, humanity has returned to EDN-3, and the great colonization experiment has resumed. Also, again, maybe it's a little too woke to apply like a political lens to this, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's a little problematic that they're just colonizing this planet that is full of creatures that clearly don't want them there, and not just to get the natural resources of the planet, but to literally kill the creatures that don't want them there and harvesting them specifically. Um anyway, those who were left behind in the initial retreat banded together as the Snow Pirates. As a team, they roamed the hostile planet in VS vehicles, fighting for their very survival. Okay, so basically, humans came to this planet thinking it was empty. They colonized it, and after they had colonized it, these Acrid began appearing and attacking their colony. And so they evacuated the colony, but I guess they left a lot of people behind as snow pirates, and I cannot think of a more bleak situation to be in, and I'm currently in quarantine for a pandemic. Um, like, imagine you're left behind on a planet that is so cold, it's just gonna slowly kill you. And also there are killer bugs. And the only way you're gonna live is if you are a snow pirate and go around in a giant mech suit killing bugs in order to survive. It doesn't sound like a good time, fam. In the course of its wanderings, a small band of snow pirates discover a young man buried in the ice. They rescue him and bring him back from the brink of death. The young man remembers only two things about his past. First, his name is Wayne. Wayne. Second, the acrid that killed his father is known as Green Eye. In the hope that the green eye is the key to regaining his memory for some reason, Wayne, together with the rest... I added for some reason. I'm sorry. I'll keep it accurate here. Wayne, together with the team of snow pirates and a VS, goes in search of the Acrid. On a hostile world of extreme cold, Wayne will soon discover that his past and the future of Lost Planet are inexorably linked. So, that is basically the setup to Lost Planet. It's the kind of game where, as I dive into the plot, which I will, a lot of things are just going to be kind of happening with the caveat of for some reason. It's a complicated mess of a game that is beautiful and terrible and wonderful. So you might be wondering, why have I nominated this game? Why do I want to even talk about it? So two things. This game has three really great things going for it. One, it has a grappling hook. Your character has a grappling hook, and it works. It works like you would want a grappling hook to work. You can grapple to terrain to move around. You can grapple enemies in order to, bring them to you. You can also grapple to enemy mechanical suits and, fight them that way if you're on foot. It's great. I love it. You can also grapple to Acrid. It's a wonderful mechanic. It works really well, and it's honestly one of the best features in this game, and it's baffling to me that other games have not just directly copied it. I know there are a couple, I was just about to say Lost Cause. I don't think that's right. Just Cause. Just Cause 2 had a really great grappling hook mechanic. I mean, I might have said get over here a few times as I was grappling enemies. So you have Wayne, and Wayne is just the weirdest character on the weirdest journey. I don't even know where to begin with him. He's not even really a character, except that he looks like Lee Byung Hun because they got his act that actor to come in and do like facial motion cap and also normal motion cap for Wayne. And I just have to say, I love Lee Byung Hun, even if I'm probably butchering his name. He's in one of my favorite movies of all time, The Good, the Bad, and the Weird, which is an amazing South Korean action movie that you definitely need to see if you haven't seen it yet. Um, it's basically a takeoff of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, but it's set in South Korea, and it is bonkers and incredible. I love it, and you should just go in blind. It's a lot of fun. Um, anyway, he is also Wayne in Lost Planet. Probably not his most ideal role, um, of all time, but actors, you got to get a paycheck sometimes. So he plays Wayne, and Wayne is a weird character because, as the prologue in the game manual mentions, Wayne was frozen in ice. As the prologue in the game shows, uh, there is a sequence where uh, he and his father are part of the retreat off the planet, except that his father gets killed by Acrid in the beginning, and and Wayne winds up frozen in snow as a result of like this traumatic event. Um, and he gets frozen, and he wakes up 30 years later. And I'm really, really, really not sure why that happens or why it's necessary to the plot at all. I don't know why the time skip needed to happen, other than they wanted the like this tenuous connection to the evacuation of the planet, but it's so contrived and terrible. Anyway, that happens. He wakes up with a band of these snow pirates who I guess have just been like driving around and killing Acrid for the past 30 years and surviving somehow. Um, and I mean, they're nice people. They're just like people who happen to get left behind by the mass exodus, I guess. And it's Luca and Rick and Yuri Solotov. Um, and Yuri is basically a scientist. He seems pretty nice, I guess. And it turns out that Wayne has like this weird device on his arm called a harmonizer, which is the device responsible for letting him basically survive his confinement in ice. And you'd think that a device that's successful at letting you survive in the ice for long periods of time would be very handy on an ice planet. But apparently no one has ever seen anything like this before. So, Yuri's super interested in Wayne, and Wayne also has amnesia. So it really does feel like the whole opening of the game really had, like, you could have just done away with it. All Wayne really remembers is something about a green-eyed a green-eyed Acrid and his father being killed. And so Wayne decides he's going to join up with these snow pirates, and I keep wanting to say ice pirates because I have vague recollections of that movie, also named Ice Pirates. Very different movie. Basically, okay. Also, this planet was colonized by a company called Nevec, Nevec, all capitalized. I believe it stands for something. I don't remember what. But the whole plot of this thing revolves around Nevik wanting to colonize this planet. And it is just. It feels like everything would be fine if they just followed a few simple steps to make it a little bit less evil for no reason. So, as we go through this game, we find out that Nevik's big evil plan, mind you, is to basically terraform the entire planet, and make EDN3 into a perfect human paradise. Which sounds pretty good, right? And they even have the technology ready to go for it. Also sounds pretty good, right? Well, it turns out they don't want to take all the humans off the surface for some reason, and I'm not sure why. Okay, I just need to throw in here that uh, I my internet crapped out in the middle of trying to live stream a recording of this episode. And so, in order to try and salvage this and deliver to the people who were watching and maybe enjoying the stream, I decided to stream from my phone over my phone's internet. And this was the result. I'm just putting this out here. This is by far one of the messiest episodes I've ever done, so apologies in advance. So, how about Lost Planet, huh? Um, we're live. I'm not going to be able to read the chat, mostly because I'm looking at my face poorly reflected in the webcam footage on XSplit. This is the worst thing I've ever done, but I'm doing it because I said I was going to do a live show, dang it. And I'm going to do a live show. So, yeah, I am sort of back, Ashley. Okay. I don't remember where I was, so I'm going to have to look at the chat for you all to remind me what I was talking about. Um, this is terrible. Again, this is one of the worst things I've ever done. I just want to be able to see. There we go. I look terrible. Okay. Okay. This is bad. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry that this is happening. Okay. Just. Right. I was gonna talk more about Wayne. So, this is my nightmare. This is my nightmare right here. I I can't. Why can't I get this on my face? I'm so sorry. There we go. Okay, so one might ask, why am I not recording? Fuck it, fuck it. I'm just gonna fuck it, fuck it. We're doing this. Fuck it. Okay, now I can see myself. You didn't miss anything. I just look terrible, and now my face is taking up literally all of the screen, and this is the worst. I hate it. I hate what I'm doing right now. So, Lost Planet stars Wayne. There's the Nevik Corporation, and the Nevik Corp basically. Oh, right. I was going over their plan. They want to terraform the planet, but terraforming it will kill everybody that's on the planet. So basically, they're evil for wanting to terraform the planet that's full of hostile bug monsters. So but what makes them evil is that they don't want to wait to evacuate They don't want to wait to evacuate the rest of humanity for some reason. So, uh, essentially, the people who are still on the planet, these snow pirates, need to band together to defeat Nevik. And over the course of doing that, it turns out that Wayne's memories about the opening aren't 100% correct, and his father was actually killed by Nevik and Nevik troops, and specifically a colonel, and basically that all gets resolved relatively quickly in the course of this plot. My arm is going to get so tired. So, they need to come up with the big reason to keep going, and it turns out that not only was Wayne's father like his father and super important for that reason, but also Wayne's father had like a super special vital suit, and so they need to get that in order to complete their giant terraforming device, and they do. But Wayne then gets into his father's mech and has to defeat another mech for that is driven by the head honcho of Nevek, who really wants to terraform this planet for some reason, for profit, I guess. And the only part that the game gets wrong on that is that the head honcho would definitely not be getting into a giant mech suit in order to make a profit. They would just be sitting behind a desk somewhere. So, my arm got tired. Okay, so it's not just me. I mean, my entire internet went down, so I don't know what's up with that. Right now I'm on my mobile internet. So anyway, Wayne decides that he's going to do that, and he does it. The end. He also kills the Green Eye, even though it wasn't directly responsible for his father's death. And what else? The story is just kind of bonkers, and it ends with Wayne winning the day, and the planet is peacefully terraformed, but Wayne also falls unconscious and loses all of his memories. So he doesn't remember any of the events that happened after he completes the game. After you complete the game, it's a baffling story, but it's really just super interesting for the gameplay mechanics, especially the grappling hook and the giant mechs. The mechs in particular are very fun. They're very agile, and they are heavily armored. And you can actually make a choice to disengage one of the arm, like one of the main weapons of these armors when you get out of them, and you can then wield this just a giant gun, and it's great. It's wonderful. The downside is you don't have infinite ammo after you take it off of a mech, which is not great. But you also, throughout the game, you have to manage your basically your thermal energy, and that means you have to keep killing Acrid as you go throughout these levels in order to not freeze to death and have HP. And when you take damage to your thermal energy, so you need to keep getting more and more of it as you go, otherwise you're going to freeze to death and die. Sorry. Ooh, also it's saying that no one is watching right now, but I can see your comments, so I know that some of you are. Yes, Elijah, former guest on the show, Elijah, says he's got a grappling hook, he fights bad guys, and the emotional range of a passing fart. And that is basically the game in a nutshell. And really, I'm just here for the grappling hook and fighting bad guys and giant mechs. So, honestly, this game, I bought it at the I bought it at the time for it was pre-owned. I bought it for $2. Uh so you should just go out and buy this game. I don't even know how it could depreciate lower than that. But it's on Xbox 360. If you still have one, I highly recommend getting on like eBay or something, and maybe when the pandemic is over. But getting online and seeing if you can pick up a copy of this, because it is a lot of fun for how bonkers and dumb its story is. And with that, I'm gonna hop offline because holding the camera and having to look at myself in the camera is really not great for my mental health right now, or my arm health. I've been lifting weights lately, so um, you all, I'll see you next time on the Flippity Dippity.